across the world right now. Music, of course, fashion, obviously, is a big part of it. And along with the fashion, we're going to go into some interesting little related subgenres, which you may or may not have heard of. Diesel punk, deco punk, atom punk. All some pretty cool stuff that you may or may not have encountered before. Literature, of course, is a huge part of steampunk, and with us today we have a steampunk author, Radian. She's been published in Steampunk Population, and she's going to tell you a little bit about that. As well as steampunk around the world, how different people in different countries are adapting steampunk to their own lifestyles. And finally, Richard and Abby over here are going to tell us a bit about how you can get started, how you can take regular, everyday objects, steampunk them, go out, buy Nerf guns, buy clothes at the thrift store, and come up with awesome outfits like theirs. Okay, so anybody know what steampunk is? Well, you can't just raise your hand and not say anything, dude. Yeah, what is it?
Steampunk is essentially kind of like a fanciful version of the Victorian industrial era.
A fanciful version of the Victorian industrial era. You were correct, sir. So we actually do have a Steampunk Hawaii Facebook group, and I went online and I asked a bunch of people what steampunk is. And a few of them came back with some pretty interesting stuff. What you just said, Victorian era science fiction, steam-powered technology, alternate past, dystopian future, wasteland steampunk scenarios. One of my favorites, riding in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang through Stephen Hawking's brain while looking at preferably with a top hat. Top hats are absolutely necessary.
Or you anime people, Howl's Moving Castle's kind of on the ledge there.
Or, you know, walking castles too.
Or Yellow the home of Suzuka's Metropolis. That's based on the Russian. Sorry, I'm not very voice.
Perhaps the most serious definition of steampunk out there we have is yesterday is tomorrow today. It might not make sense, but think about it for a little bit. You'll get it. So just a brief history of steampunk. Steampunk aesthetics, steampunk ideals have been around for a long, long time before anyone ever knew what steampunk was. Started out in the proto-steampunk era, the 1800s, Jules Verne, H.G. Wells, all the mad scientists and inventors of the Victorian era, people who came up with these crazy ideas that didn't work. They were kind of steampunks. They just didn't know it yet. It really came to a head in the 1970s and the 1980s with a lot of literature that addressed the concept of steampunk, starting with Michael Moorcock, William Gibson, who wrote The Difference Engine. Anybody into cyberpunk? Anybody heard of cyberpunk? Anybody read any of William Gibson books? All right. Well, he started a lot of that, and then people just kind of took it and ran with it. Steampunk and cyberpunk actually were born around the same time. And somebody typing. So basically what you said, you know, it's a subgenre of science fiction, it's alternate history. It's taking the history of the past and
Bringing it to the future.
exactly, and being creative with it, because that's what it's all about.
So,
All right.
how do you guys start your own steampunk group, especially here on Ireland? Well, so there are a number of different ways you can do that. But first, let's cover some of my friends. My personal friends are Robert Brown. He's the lead singer of Ebony Park. If you go on my Facebook, he's mentioning a bunch of junk on the picture that he sent me. So, Dr. Steele, great guy, joined the Steel Army.
Steampunk Unite!
Yes. Get up and stand up. Say this, everybody. Come on, unison. Need to hear that loud.
Toy soldiers unite!
There you go. And steam-powered giraffe. Stand up, my friends. Stand up, stand up. Show everybody up. These guys are awesome. They're pretty much like, this band is pretty much like android steampunk robots. They're super cool and great music, great everything. League of Inextraordinary Gentlemen. They're fun people. They're hilarious to listen to. I'm the man that will not be blamed for nothing. I do not know that person, but I bet it's cool. Vermin process. I'm thinking that's a more darker genre of steampunk music. I do know Professor Elemental. He's got the coolest hat ever. He looks like a guy who just came out of the jungle. The Cock is Dead. There's one song you need to listen to by The Cog is Dead. It is called The Death of the Cog. It is taking down Hammermill because Hammermill ruined everything. Because he turned all the pretty gears and stuff digital. Now it's a stinking battery. So this is going to be an Omni Park video, and there's footage literally in this video from all around the world. The first part of the video, in the beginning, you're going to see a life-size house-moving castle, but it's steampunked. And that is located in Italy, and they also have like a steampunk gear circus. So you're going to also see footage of like a merry-go-round almost, and then there's going to be a giant steampunk mechanical spider. Again, unfortunately, it's all in Italy, but so that's there. That's really fun. Some of the steampunk models that are really famous and well-known are going to be featured in this video, as well as the amazing steampunk magicians who do literally put on illusion shows, but steampunk themed. So you'll see a girl getting drilled through the chest, but there's a clock in front of her. So you'll be able to get excited. Oh, by the way, all their instruments are steampunk. So Captain Robert's microphone is a giant gear, and then I forget the keyboard girl's name, but her on the backdrop there's a giant Tesla, and it lights up and stuff. The violins have test tubes on them. All the guitars are steampunk. It's amazing. So enjoy this video by them.
Time
on them is they have like a cool story. They have almost a miniature kind of like comic history behind them. So I'm going to let our steampunk author talk about the awesome genre of adding your story, making it personal to you, your steampunk character, into the great, magnificent epilogue, or not epilogue, trilogy or something. I don't, she knows the literary terms, I don't.
Anyway, hi, my name is Ray Dean, but I actually write under Ray Dean because mostly when I was a kid, everyone asked me, oh, are you from the South? And they thought my name was two names. Anyway, I was born and raised here, but I've written a lot just for fun. And a couple of years ago, I called my friend, who's my sophomore year roommate in college. Her name is Carrie Vaughn. She does the Kid the Werewolves book series. And I said, okay, I've been hearing this term steampunk. You keep talking about it, explain it to me. And so she asked me a bunch of different questions, you know, Wild Wild West, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I'm like, oh my God, all that stuff that I've always loved? You mean there's a name for it? Awesome. So after that, I started to look for different opportunities to write. And online is a wonderful thing. You can find all sorts of great stuff. The first thing that I found was this call for stories for Chinese steampunk. Growing up in Hawaii, we know a little bit about Chinese stuff. So I grabbed my son's AP World History textbook, turned to everything China, and I started to write a story about opium import. Because they used to have a law that you could not bring opium into Chinese ports. So I said, well, the way to get around that would be dirigibles, because you're not actually bringing it into port, but you're still bringing it into China. And so I wrote a story about how the local people in town could actually fight back. And so that ended up in Shanghai Steam. The image you see in the middle is for an anthology that's going to be coming out from England, and it's all about stories inspired in the steampunk genre by Edgar Allan Poe poems. And then the far one on the right side is Steampunk. It's actually taking African characters and making them the main focus of stories. Now the fun part about that one is we just got word that Georgia Tech is actually requiring steampunk in their class reading for science fiction. So that's pretty cool, you know? And then Shanghai Steam appeared in the new version of Orson Scott Card's How to Write Science Fiction. So the cool thing about steampunk is it's not just about, you know, a lot of people think Victorian characters, England. And yeah, there's a lot to do with England because it's colonialism, imperialism, they're everywhere. But the fun part is how do all these different cultures that England and all these European cultures kind of absorb, how much of these other cultures rebel against them? How do things work? And most fun that I've been having is how does technology not work? When somebody's got a great idea to build something and it might blow up in their face, or something that doesn't work that ends up being usable in a different way. In one of my stories, I had a guy buy a steam engine for a rickshaw. The steam engine proved to be too heavy, and so it didn't work. But basically, he still had the steam engine, so he turned it into a roadside dim sum cart. Why not? You know, have fun with it. Part of the excitement about steampunk is what if? What if the Civil War continued on? What if Zeppelin, who actually watched a hot air balloon be used in the American Civil War to gain intelligence on the other army? What if that airship had come to be a little sooner? What can you do with any sort of idea of different cultures, science that I have a lot of ladies' magazines from the Civil War, the Victorian era. The kinds of science experiments they did in their living rooms. If you looked at the chemicals that they got to play with, if we ordered that today, we'd be on any number of FBI, national security watch lists. But these were things that they just played with. What happens when we put this chemical with this chemical? What happens when we attach this wire to this wire, put a cog here, change that there? These people were tinkers in their own homes. And that's kind of what the fun of steampunk is that we get to go back and actually play with that. And sometimes you do it in fiction, and sometimes you do it in real life. And when you see our do-it-yourselfers, they're going to give you lots of great ideas. But if you're interested in writing stories, there's so many outlets out there, and part of the fun that I'm having is just finding different places with different types of calls for stories and saying, okay, so what if? And then I take those stories and send them in, and sometimes they get accepted, and sometimes they don't. But we survive, and we live to write again. That's all that matters. But anyway, if you have any questions for me, I've got my website there. I'm also a bi-monthly blogger for the Age of Steam blog, so feel free to check them out and let me know if you have any questions.
I think what she is doing is really awesome, because what she's doing is also you could take yourself and think, hey, what if I lived back here in this time period, this time area, and what could I do myself if I lived then? What would I be? What would my occupation be? So she does this, but she puts it all in books. So how cool is that? Because only you really can create your own destiny. Even as a person living now, you choose your life. Maybe some kids have like their parents and stuff or whatever, but you really are the ultimate decision maker. And so she's doing this with her characters. She's doing this with different around the world, different countries. She's tying that in and seeing what's their chance, what do they want to do, especially if they're stuck in a certain, sect of like this living. So she's exploring that type. And with that, because she loves doing the books as well. And again, your centerfold is around who you are, what you do, your people that you're with. I actually lived in Texas 19 years. I moved there when I was 2 from Hawaii. Now I'm back in Texas. I'm back in Hawaii, and I've only been here 5 years. This is my captain. You're gonna meet him. His name is Cedric Whitaker, and or we call him Captain Hawk. And he's the leader of an it's not international, but he makes his living off of steampunk. He has it's a community of artists that he works with. They will be featured this year on the show Oddities, the TV show. So please look out for them. They have a whole base. They have fire dancers. They have songwriters. They have seamstresses. They have all kinds of artists, performers, all different kinds. So I was going to sign up for him. So again, they're called Airship Isabella, and my captain got as excited as she did, like, oh, finally somebody gets it. And this is him, and it's in our story of the Isabella.
I would never allow myself to be put in any position where somebody else controls my destiny, because that destiny belongs to me. Just like the destiny of each and every one of my crewmates, the destiny of each and every person out there, that destiny belongs to them and nobody else. Play in the normal world to do what you need to do to survive, but always enjoy being outside the normal born. And working a rig down in Houston, a friend of mine came up and said, "No, I found your people." And I was like, "Really? I didn't know I'd lost them." She said, "Yeah, it's called Steampunk." For years, I played, different festivals and different, groups that I've run, fire spinning groups and drum groups and stuff like that. Because I always had a pirate flair. I've always been into the pirate thing. And a friend of mine had made a copy of Avenue Park for me, and I was listening to it after I got off to get the station, and Airship Pirates came on. I mean, truly, no exaggeration, had to pull the truck over because I had tears in my eyes, because somebody had finally got it. Somebody had finally put into words what I saw in my head. And steampunk harkens back to a time, be it real or fictional, where people have respect for each other. They cared about how they looked. They cared about their etiquette. They cared what people thought of them. There was a specific way that they behaved. And I think with today's society, that being gone is a detriment to the world today. That losing that has made people into automaton robots. They go about their daily lives and don't care what goes on around them as long as it doesn't directly affect them. The crew is the Isabella. Every member of this crew, as they've shown up, and we believe and we say it constantly, we don't pick the crew, the Isabella. The Isabella picks her crew. And it's like they were already crew members, we just had to find them. And it's that crew that makes the Isabella what the Isabella is. It's that crew that makes the magic that we're able to bring to people. And as a captain, all I am is a figurehead, the one who, gets stuck out front, but they're the true magic of what's happening. And every day I thank whatever's out there, whoever's listening, for the quality and the character of the people, not only on my crew, but on the Dulcimer crew, that with these people, I truly, truly believe that we can do the impossible. That they can't do and be and move the world if they want to. And personally for me, you asked a question about what drove me to leave a career that people kill to get into. From a business point of view, I have a real issue, and I have, friends, some of my crewmates and other friends who spend their life day to day going to a job where people don't care about them, don't care about their families. They fire you in a heartbeat. They don't care if you get fired, it's going to put you under a bridge. You're not going to be able to feed your family. You're not going to be able to finish going to school. They don't care. I got a real issue with that. And it all falls back to caring about the people around you.
It's airshipisabella.com if you're interested in seeing more of the productions that they put on. Right now, obviously Solid making different stuff, so let's move on to that section.
Actually, I think we're going to do a quick stop in about the different steampunk around the world.
Oh yes, steampunk around the world.
Oh, you're stuck with me again.
Oh no.
Back in February, a gentleman who is in charge of the Airship Ambassador website, well actually before February, kind of decided that we were going to make February International Steampunk Month. So it was basically steampunk hands around the world. And so we got together people from literally all around the world to come together, and we interviewed each other, and we did features on fashion and things that were going on in different countries. And the fun part is just that even with the language barriers, sometimes the most important thing was that we all just loved the genre, and we had so much fun learning about each other. And even now, a lot of people that actually participated and did posts and performances, we're still working together and creating more things. We're putting together stories and art and more activities. So by February of next year, we're going to have something pretty special to offer the world. So look out there and see what's there. Steampunk India is a wonderful site. A lot of people, when I did my world map, I put her number in Scotland, and I got pretty much roasted for that. And they said, you put it in the wrong places. First of all, I know where India is. Second of all, the woman in charge of it is Indian in heritage, but she lives in Scotland. and she has a band there, and they perform, and she does amazing photographs. So check that out, and you wouldn't believe the wonderful things that happen in South America, Germany. We've got a lot of people from Germany that participated. But don't be afraid to go out there and see what's out there. I mean, a lot of us have mixed heritages. Find out how that part of the world, you know, what they were doing in the Victorian era. Pull it all together.
Don't forget the movie Castle in Italy.
And we, sorry? I know. But so, you know, there's all sorts of websites out there and events. It's just that Steampunk Around the World was just kind of a fun little month-long exploration. I guess it was, you know, around the world in not quite 80 days. But okay, so it was 28. Give us a break. We did it pretty well. Anyway, that's fine.
What time machines are for?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to make sure we give Richard and Abby enough time to really get into how to DIY your own steampunk gear, I'm just going to very briefly talk about some spin-offs of steampunk. One of them that's become most popular is one called dieselpunk, and as the picture you see says, it takes place a bit later, around the early part of the 20th century, between World War I and World War II. However, there are two different types of dieselpunk, at least two fields of thought in how it should be expressed. You have the first, which is called Olde, which is based on the man's name, I believe it's Nick Oddens, who runs one of the largest dieselpunk sites on the internet. And the other one is Craftian, who is the first person to ever, who was the first person to ever post about dieselpunk on Wikipedia. So both of them came to name for themselves that way and have gotten each subgenres of dieselpunk named after them. So if we start with the Olde, which is more of a uniform type of dieselpunk, where you have, it's based much more definitively, as I stated earlier, between the end of World War I and the end of World War II. You have to keep in mind that this is a point in time where, after World War I, most things like internal combustion engines and a lot of the new industry of the time left military hands and was available to the general public. People were, rather than riding horses, were riding buses for the first time, and everyone had access to this new technology. So everyone saw the world with, after that horrid years of the war, saw this world with new hope, with new ideas. At the same time, however, given history, given geopolitics at the time, a new war, which would eventually become World War II, was hanging over everyone's heads. So you also see things like, if any of you have seen the movie Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow, very militaristic, very military driven, and while some steampunk weapons are based on very old school single shot weapons, in dieselpunk you'll see a lot more machine guns and much more powerful rifles.
Chris monkeys who make Gatling guns.
On the other side is the Olde. Olde dieselpunk is, the technology from the time is still the same, but they see it more of a way after, in a time where, say, Germany had won World War I. The world was seriously hurt by the mistakes of humanity using this kind of technology. And as anyone who looks on the news at any given time knows, humanity has talent for doing that. So their style of steampunk, while using the same sort of accessories, tends to be a lot grittier, a lot more torn up. But if you've seen the movie Mad Max, it's that sort of worldview.
Everybody's out to get you. They defend themselves. Their very clothing is protective.
I also wanted to just very, very quickly mention, from dieselpunk, especially in high fashion, there's been this new term coming out called decopunk. Decopunk is more focused on the time of, say, the 1920s, the Roaring '20s. Very loose and flowing, and it also can include the time moving up to the 1930s and the Great Depression, where things were much more simple. But you generally see that more in high fashion and on walkways than you would in a general steampunk related community or things of that nature.
Art Nouveau style. The drawings and stuff of Art Nouveau is taken from this. People do steampunk versions of that.
And the last one is Atom Punk. On the left you see an example of Decopunk, and is on the bottom is an artistic rendition of what a Decopunk world would look like. Atom Punk takes place when things like electronics were starting to come into the world, and it was kind of the time where everyone in the world was living with the constant threat of mutually assured destruction. The world could end at any moment. But it was also because of that, at the same time, that people started dreaming really, really big. That's the time where superhero fiction started to come out. So by that nature, you also had things, if you think of things like the Jetsons, that's a sort of retrofuturistic view that Atom Punk tends to take. It also can be like with the Artesian Dieselpunk, which is a dystopic view of the world. If any of you have ever heard of the video game Fallout series, that's an Atom Punk view of the world.
Bioshock 2, there's only one the dudes on both sides. We gotta protect what we have.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to mention those real quickly. So with that,
there's also this small that's called like goth steam. So take a steampunk outfit, instead of saying you're more into the gothic style, some people call it goth steam, but most people know it as dark steam. And then we also have the traditional, if you want to go all out, oceanography type, to get your Nautilus out of the ocean, it's called sea punk.
Yeah, one thing that's really important, whether you're talking about steampunk, dieselpunk, decopunk, atom punk, or cyberpunk, or any of the related subcultures, all of these are based upon an idea of how the brain used to work, of a thought process, and how you interpret that thought process is entirely up to you. So, on getting started, we're going to switch over to Abby and Richard, because they have some things to show us, and they will give us the lowdown.
Yeah.
Let's make stuff, guys.
Thank you.
We get the lights because we want to show you guys a little bit closer up. But we also kind of want to see that too, so we're going to get kind of in the middle, hopefully. But anyways, my name's Abby, and
I'm Richard.
And we're from Rick, Steampunk, etc. And the way we got into steampunk, we actually didn't even know it was a genre until about 2 or 3 years ago, when someone actually asked us to create a pair of goggles. And that's when we found the genre, and what attracted us to that was the creativeness, the tinkering is what drew us into it. I'm a design engineer by trade. Richard's an artist and also works in steel framing. So we have that background, and it just perfect for us, is what drew us into the genre in general. 3 of the basic steampunk tinkering thoughts that I thought we'd like to touch on would be the scavenging, modding, and tinkering. So we're going to go ahead and switch to the next slide. So one of the sub-genres he talked about was the dystopian, and this is somewhere where the scavenging comes in huge. A lot of what you see on us, I found somewhere. Like there's no shame in thrift stores, recycling centers, and like seriously, just things that people have thrown out. A lot of the broken, rusted stuff, and bringing it and giving it new life has a great dystopian feel to it. One of the great things that we have found, and we haven't found one yet here on Hawaii, so if you know of one, let us know. Anywhere that recycles brass or copper is a great place. You can usually go in with a bucket. They'll charge you by the pound, and it's a very, very efficient way to get things. So, and you guys, we'll be outside, and you can come look at any of this up close, and then if we have time afterwards, you guys can come see too. So this is a fascinator, so it would be something that you would wear in your hair. And it's made out of, tell them what the nature is.
The gear is actually from, I owned a '79 Volkswagen Rabbit, and I needed to change my timing gears. This was one of the broken ones. And the mechanic asked me if I wanted the gears. I said, well, of course. So you can get your materials from anywhere. So
It's
just
weird.
always be on the
Can I have your
lookout.
broken things? Okay, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, and then once people start realizing you want that, you are going to have an inpouring of stuff. People are like, oh yeah, you guys do that. What's it called? What's it called? I don't know, something punk. Do you want my stuff?
So I made another, and it was better, but I could do better. So really the thing is just keep doing it. If you like what you're doing and you enjoy it, just make another. Give it to one of your friends. Have them join you.
Yes, guys, goggles are an accessory too. You wear them while you're smashing things and taking things apart because you can get like a gear lodged in your eyes. Then you'll have to make a lot of goggles for that. Yeah, goggles, safety goggles. Or other goggles.
And
Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up because we're running a little short on time. But we're really excited to see all you guys here, really excited to see you in Steampunk. And I'm going to turn it over to them to kind of talk to you guys about how to be more interactive, if you want to meet people, get involved.
So, as I said in the beginning, there is a Steampunk Hawaii Facebook group. Just go on
Kawaii,
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yep, Steampunk Hawaii, and we're open to anybody, so just hit join. It's actually a pretty active group, and we're growing by the day. We just hit 200 members, so join us.
Yes, join us. A lot of the items too below are for sale, as well as you can take a closer look at the Nerf guns, and even go look at the accessories everybody's wearing too. Because it's, again, let's try to make something happen. There's never a wrong way to create. So just keep creating, guys. Keep on steaming. And oh, shiny. That's what we like. If it looks shiny, we go for it. So you guys, again, keep your broad eye on the horizon. Keep a wary eye on the sea. You never know what's going to come after you guys.
All right, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you guys so much.